The PFA issue legal threat to the Premier League amid fears that clubs could vote on the introduction of a salary cap from the 2025-26 season. This is from today, I think. Is it from today? Yeah, February the 7th. The Professional Football Association has reportedly threatened the Premier League with illegal action in an attempt to block the potential introduction of a salary cap. Premier League clubs voted last year to explore the introduction of a spending cap from the start of the 2025-26 season as part of a new financial system, financial controls to replace profit and sustainability rules. The new system known as anchoring, which would limit the club's spending on transfers, wages and agents' fees. The precise ratio is yet to be determined, but the new rules are expected to anchor spending to around 5 times the income of the bottom club. We've spoken about this for most of the day. Sheffield United earned £110 million for finishing bottom last season, meaning the top spenders would have been limited to £550 million. A total of 16 clubs voted in favour of exploring anchoring last year, with City, United, Villa voting against and Chelsea abstaining. Again, spoken about that all day long. What's Aston Villa's motivation to do that? When you look at their finances, you look at their ability to generate revenue from certain areas, it doesn't really add up until you start to see the fact that John Duran goes to Saudi Arabia as a young super talented kid. If he doesn't come back in 18 months or 2 years to the Premier League or to a similar level standard, absent his career just falling off the cliff, I'll probably shut down the channel. But I'm so certain that this is all a shenanigan. To you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours later. According to The Athletic, the PFA has written to the Premier League warning of potential league action with the system limiting clubs spending on player wages, regardless of whether they can meet the costs. The report states that the PFA have claimed the Premier League has yet to explain why it wants to bring in anchoring or provide details of how it would work. First and foremost, PFA, like with all due respect, that's the whole purpose of the Premier League. They don't need your permission. They don't need your agreement. They vote. And I think this is a weakness of the system because, as I say, I think it's being manipulated right now by teams that have behind the scenes got relationships where the left hand and the right hand are very much in cahoots. I think that's a threat and it's a risk, but they all signed up to it when it started in 1991. You don't need permission. You don't need the approval or the acknowledgement of these third-party assets. They're part of the story, but they're not ultimately the decision makers. And so I don't know, unless I'm mistaken, and maybe the article will go on to say this, but I don't believe the PFA have got any legal jurisdiction in this matter whatsoever. It's just it's the Players Football Association, right? The Players Football Association. Is that right? Or the professional players? Rule changing impacting player contracts are typically agreed by the Professional Footballing Negotiation and Consultative Committee, the PFNCC. The committee includes the PFA, the Premier League, the English Football League, and the League Managers Association. The PFA legal threat reportedly comes with the organisation concerned the Premier League shareholders were set to vote on proposals at their meeting next week. The Premier League has confirmed it has received legal demands from the PFA over the potential rules, with letters also sent to the 20 clubs. We have complied with PFNCC requirements. We've complied with PFNCC requirements, and the PFA has had multiple opportunities since March 2024 to provide feedback on the rules and the principles that underpin them, a Premier League spokesman told The Athletic. Furthermore, squad cost ratio proposals were voted for in shadow by clubs at the June AGM. The squad cost ratio proposals under discussion align closely with existing UEFA financial rules, which a number of our clubs are already subject to. The objectives of the proposals include maintaining the Premier League's competitive balance and ensuring clubs operate in a financially sustainable way. There you go. So what is it? Well, it used to be sustainability and sustainability and profitable regulation, PSR, right? Profit and sustainability. Now they're throwing in there competitive balance. It never used to be about that. I'm an advocate of it. I think it should be leveled out. And that's coming from someone that's knocking on the door and under threat of others. But also, if Tottenham fans can be a proponent of it, you better believe that everybody else below there is as well, right? They want to see a level playing field. And it's good for business. It's good. You want to see a system whereby leagues like this one this year, where Leicester have been able to beat Tottenham and Crystal Palace and Ipswich. You want to see that, but not just because the top team is having an absolute mare with injuries and form and a crisis of confidence, but because the balance, the gulf between the two is eroded. Last night was a demonstration, again, with the notwithstanding the injuries, the crisis of confidence, but you saw as clear as day the difference between Liverpool and Tottenham. And Liverpool aren't even a team that takes advantage of their financial success imbalance. But Manchester City have done, and Newcastle will do. And it's not a criticism of them if you're watching this on Spurs, on Sean Butler TV. It's just an observation. And Chelsea certainly have, right? Spending a billy. Burnley couldn't do that. Everton couldn't do that. They tried and they failed. And look what nearly happened to them. Nottingham Forest, Southampton, none of those teams can do that. And Chelsea are not the recipient, the beneficiary of anything other than a very fortuitous set of circumstances that allowed that to happen. And I've said this a million times. It's not because of their brilliance on the pitch. They've been terrible for the last few years. It's because of Roman Abramovich selling at $1.5 billion deficit under what market valuation was, because he had to get out of town because of the war with Russia. And then Todd Bowley coming in and taking up, and with a promise of spending X amount of money, which happened to be, wait for it, £1.5 billion. It's a joke. It's embarrassing. Other teams can't do that. Tottenham couldn't do that, even if we were bought out tomorrow. So sustainability is one thing, but a level playing field is another. And until the Premier League lawmakers and PFA are trying to get in there and curtail this, they're trying to curtail it. Why? Ask yourself why. Who's paying those people? Who's scratching their back, and why? Why is it that limiting the amount of spend of the financially most prudent and the financially most aggressive overspenders to 5 times the bottom club? Why is that a bad thing? It creates competitive implementations. It creates a playing field where the gulf between the two will not be, on any given Sunday, will not be that stark. It's better for business. It's better. You want a league that where anyone can beat anyone on their day, but yet achievement and success is still rewarded, which at the moment it's out of sync. But these rules will make it it won't be perfect. It'll still be a mess, but at least it will bring things back to something like a realistic playing field where you get away from this notion where 92% of all trophies are won by the same 5 bloody teams, and two teams win 75% over the last 12 years. It's boring. It's boring. And the PFA are coming in saying, nah, sorry, you haven't really explained or justified why. I just did. There you go. That's your reason. And for what it's worth, you don't really, as far as I'm aware, have any say in the fucking story anyway, because the Premier League have the right to dictate their own path. That's how it works. That's how it works under the Premier League rules. 15 teams vote in favour of an amendment. The amendment is implemented. The PFA can shove it up their arse. While we remain open to the discussions and feedback, we are extremely disappointed that instead of engaging with the substance of the proposals, the PFA has chosen to issue legal demands. Clubs will continue to evaluate the proposal with a view to bringing them to a vote at the appropriate time. The Premier League have already agreed to replace PSR rules in the 25-26 season with a squad cost control. The squad, the cost control will limit clubs to spending 85% of their total revenue on wages, transfers, payments, and agents' fees, anchoring would fix a ceiling on that spending, and is generally being supported by those clubs who fear the growing power of the richest and those such as City who are backed by sovereign wealth funds. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I'm done with the reading off of the thing. I'll just spend 5 more minutes with you. Let me know.